let's start. Okay, so J3 of the CCC is a little bit harder than J1 and J2, which we went through 2 weeks ago.
Naturally.
Yeah, it's still doable though with what I've taught you guys. We've taught you guys throughout the past few weeks. So yeah, let's start. So Yina, do you want to read the contest question?
Yes, I will. Mahima, I think. Mahima has been experimenting with a new art style. She stands in front of a canvas and using her brush flicks drops of paint onto the canvas. When she thinks she has created a masterpiece, she uses her 3D printer to print a frame to surround the canvas. Your job is to help Mahima by determining the coordinates of the smallest possible rectangular frame such that each drop of paint lies inside the frame. Points on the frame are not considered inside the frame. The first line of input contains the number of drops of paint, n, where n is greater than or equal to 2 but less than or equal to 100, and n is an integer. Each of the next n lines contain exactly two positive integers, x and y, separated by 1 comma, no spaces. Each of these pairs of integers represents the coordinates of a drop of paint on the canvas. Assume that x is less than 100 and y is less than 100, and that there will be at least two distinct points. The coordinates 0, 0 represent the bottom left corner of the canvas. And for 12 of the 15 available marks, x and y will both be two-digit integers. So the output I was looking for is two lines. Each line must contain exactly two non-negative integers, separated by a single comma, no spaces. The first line represents the coordinates of the bottom left corner of the rectangular frame. The second line represents the coordinates of the top right corner of the rectangular frame. So you can kind of see how those two coordinates represents the coordinates or like the size of the smallest possible canvas that fits all the paint.
Yeah,
And
so
that is just a
basically,
sample input.
if you look at it, so there are 5 points, and they give you these 5 points, and this is the smallest, the bottom left corner, which is 23, which is the x value, and 9 for the y value. And that makes sense, because if you look at it, 23 as the x value, it means that it would include all of these, and 24 would be 1 pixel to the right of the frame, which is what you want, because that means it still fits inside.
Mm-hmm.
And 9, same thing, 10 is the smallest y coordinate, subtract 1 is 9. And biggest is just 64 is the biggest one, plus 1 is 65, same thing with x, 78, 79.
Yep. So there's a little
And
helpful
it's an
diagram
example.
that kind of helps you illustrate. Michelle, do you want to zoom out a little bit?
Yeah, sorry. There you
Yeah.
go.
So you can kind of see how in the problem we were describing that the bottom left corner is 0, 0, and the top right is 100, 100. And you're just trying to create a frame and give those coordinates of the smallest possible frame that fits all the dots inside its boundaries. So it's kind of like if you guys have done Tkinter in Shaman's class, it's kind of like the opposite where the top left corner is 0, 0 when you're animating or like doing graphics, and then like as you branch
Yeah, like it
downwards
goes
and
0,
towards the right,
100,
it
0,
increases.
100.
Yeah, so it's kind of like uh,
Yeah.
kind of the opposite.
All right,
But yeah,
awesome.
especially for this question, it's helpful to have that little diagram there, just because I'm sure there's going to be like certain questions on the CCC where it'll be helpful for you to draw out exactly what the question is asking.
Yeah. Also, okay, yeah. I'm gonna try to. So we're gonna split this problem into 2 steps. So what I'm gonna do for this problem, I'm actually gonna talk through it first instead of just diving into it, because especially when a problem is a little bit more complex, it's better to think it through before you just start randomly coding, just so that you know what you're gonna do. Okay, so if I'm looking at the sample input and output, what I want to do is, if you look at this, I think the easiest way would be to have two different two different arrays, one for all the possible x values and one for all the possible y values. And then out of these arrays, so let's say I'm looking at x values. So in the x value array, if I want to figure out what the minimum x value is and the maximum x value is, it would be these two numbers, right? So I would find the smallest x value in the x values array, which in this case is 24, and then I would subtract 1, and that would be 23. And then to find the maximum x value, I would find the maximum x value in the array, which in this case is 64, and then I would plus 1 to get 65. And then same thing for the y values. So after they give me the input, I'm going to separate these numbers into two different arrays, as I'm just repeating what I'm going to say. So This is x values, this is y values. So the y value array would have these 5 values. So then the second step would be in this y value array, I would find the minimum y value and subtract 1 to get the minimum y value of the frame. And I would find the maximum y value, add 1 to be the maximum y value of the frame. So that's the general approach I'm going to take. Yina, do you want to add something?
Well, yeah. So, something that's a little unique about this problem compared to what we have already done with J1 and J2 is, I think, to be honest, the hardest part of this problem is probably just taking the inputs. So that's something
Yeah.
that we're going to
Yeah,
be
I'm going to go through
covering.
that right now. All right,
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah, because like they're gonna give you like not all the questions are gonna be like J1 and J2 where they give you just like, oh, here's one line of input for this and then blah 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 blah. Yeah, a
like, we're
lot
going
of
to have to figure out how to split these into 2 different x and y arrays. And after that, it's easy to find the minimum and the maximum values because I think we went through that in one of our earlier lessons. But Yina will go through
yeah, I
that.
did that.
Yeah, I'll run you guys
It's
through it.
pretty intuitive after the whole input
Mhm.
taking procedure.
Yeah, so the tricky part is actually trying to figure out how to split these and separate them into arrays. But let me switch my screen into
And
the
I can guarantee there will be at least one question that kind of gives you your inputs in a weird format.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so this one is J3. Okay, if I'm looking at the PDF, the first input they give me, which would be it's just number of, so I'll just say num drops for a number of droplets, and that's the first input. So now, because that's the first line, so I need to figure out a way to store that. So now they're going to give me num drops number of inputs, and I'm gonna have to store them into arrays. So I have a x values array, that, and I have a y values array, right? Then, okay, so we're gonna have to use a for loop for this because we know how many values they're going to give us. It's num drops number, so we're gonna say for I in num drops, then the top is equal to the input. So this one would be whichever line they put afterwards. So it would be like 44, 62, or 34, 69, or 24, 78, etc., etc. So for each of those lines they give me, I'm going to have to figure out a way to split these. So like right now, the drop would equal to something like 44, 62. But I don't want this. This is a string. I want to separate these by the commas. And I'm going to teach you guys a really neat or useful trick. It's called split. So split drop is equal to drop dot split. And I want to split these by the comma. So this function basically means that you take drop, which is 4462, a string, and dot split, which means you split it by, and whatever you put in the parentheses, it's what they split it by. So in this case, split drops would be an array of the string of drops, but these are that are split by the commas. So split drops would be an array. So here, I don't want to print this just because it's going to be a pain just to input everything, but it would be 4462. Yeah. And one thing that I'm just going to do now, I'm going to turn them into integers because I want them to be integers. Now they would look like this if everything was going right. So now that we have these split, we want to append these into the x values and the y values array. So now, if you guys recall from our array lesson, append means you add it. So I want to add the first number in the array into the x values array, and I want to add the second number in the array to the y values array. And if you remember, arrays start counting at 1. So instead of writing split drops 1, I'm going to say split drops 0. So what this does is it looks at split drops, it counts the first number, or the 0th number, I suppose, which would be 44 if the input was 44, and it would append it into the x values array. So now 44 is in the x values array, and now I'm going to do the same thing with the y values. Split drops 1. Oh, not append, just append. There you go. So now what we have is we have one value in the x values array, one value in the y values array. And then after that, it's going to go back and go to the second number in the number of drops, which is the second number in the input, which in the sample input would be 34,69, and it would just go through the same thing, and it would append these. So by the end of this, we should have a y value array of all the a x value array of all the x values and a y value array of all the y values. You know what I mean. So let's actually test this out before we move on, just in case I don't want y values. Okay, so let's.
Wait, Michelle, make sure you comment out all the stuff that's at the bottom.
Oh yes. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so if we print, this is the input, and if I'm just going to go by the PDF which I have on the other screen. Oh wait. Oh, see, there's a string object is not callable. Oh, because it's an integer. There you go. Bruh, int object is not callable. Hang on. Oh wait, sorry. Okay, this is the mistake. Here, Yina, do you want to explain this mistake?
Why do you wait? Hold on. Not gonna lie, I wasn't paying attention to your.
Oh,
your,
it's because if I do this, num drops would be an array, but this is a number. So I think.
Wait, why do you have this?
Can we just do this?
Yeah,
exactly. Hang
why
on,
do you have that?
No, that doesn't work.
Ew.
It was something else. It was like. Oh wait, no, it's for I in range. Okay, sorry. Yeah, anyway, that's a mistake. For the for loop, the one that I did before, which was for I in num drops, that's if it was an array. And in that case, it would iterate through every single value in that array. You're going to use that later for Yina's step. But in this case, num drops is a number, and it's not an array. So instead, you would have to do in range. So don't forget this.
I'm gonna discount it.
So yeah, it would be in the range from 0 to this number, which means I would go from 0 to 1, 2, 3, and stop right before this number.
Just jumping in quickly, if anybody here is not doing the CCC, and they just sort of came because they want to get their attendance, because today is so specifically centric around CCC, I've opened attendance early. It's in the announcements channel as usual.
Thanks, Keegan.
All right, moving on. But you guys should stay because this is a great lesson and you should know this.
Anyway. I would be very sad if everyone just immediately left.
Okay, anyway, that was a goof. This is what you should do for I in range. So let's try that. Let's see if that works. Okay, it does work. All right, now we move on. We input the other numbers. Oh wait, there we go. That's another issue.
It's okay. See, it's part of the process.
No, this is coding. You just keep on running into issues. Line 10. Split drop int argument must be a string, a byte-like object, or a list. Oh, I see why. It's because when you split this, it's an array, so you can't turn an array into an integer. So we should delete this, and the only way you can turn this into an integer, we can turn this into an integer after you separate the actual number from the array. That should work now. We just want to turn it into an integer eventually. It doesn't have to be on the first step. And also it doesn't work if it's... Oh my gosh. Did I miss a bracket somewhere? Did I add it? I missed a bracket. It's okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
Moving on. 3462. Okay, next one is 34, 69, 24, 78, 42, 44, and 64, 10. Please say it works. Okay, now let's see. We have 44, 34, 24, 42, 64. These are all the x values, and these are all the y values. Yay, we did it. Okay, but that was just the first step. Now that we have these arrays, remember that we're trying to find the minimum, like the corners of the canvas. So what I said earlier, you have to find the minimum and the maximum y values, and the minimum, the maximum x values, and you would subtract 1 from the minimum values to find the like left coordinate, and you would add 1 from the maximum values to find the maximum place of the frame.
Maximum coordinate. Maximum. So if you visualize it, because I know at least I'm a visual learner. If like I don't know if anyone, I guess this would help some people if you're also a visual learner.
Yeah, like if you say just like really, you can continue after I say this. So like if the y coordinate's 10, you can't have the frame on y10 because that means that the little drop of paint would be right on the frame. You want it to be a little bit before, so that means that this would actually be in the frame.
Like if this helps you out, maybe you can get a sheet of paper and kind of, or just refer back to the diagram in the problem sheet, where they kind of like have like all the dots, right? But you're trying to create a frame that includes all the dots. So that's kind of why we have to subtract 1 for all the mins and add 1 for all the maxes.
Wait, so then Kim Chaco views who aren't doing CCC. Oh yeah, Keegan said. Oh yeah, Annika, Keegan basically just said if you weren't doing CCC, since this is all CCC prep, he sent the attendance in the announcements already. So if you're not doing CCC, you can just skip this lesson, I guess. But even if you're not doing CCC, you might be in the future years, and this is just important anyway, so you should stay. All right.
Okay.
Moving on, after we have this array, again, we want to find the minimum, the maximum values, and then we want to subtract 1 or add 1 and print them out in the sample output. So I'm gonna let Yina take over for this part. Go ahead.
Okay, so brief summary. Basically what Michelle did in her step was just, she kind of took care of the whole input, what is it called, gathering inputs for you, because that's basically the bulk of what the question is asking. Well, not what the question is asking, but it's the bulk of your thinking for this question. So like she said, in the next step, we want to find the min and the coordinates of the minimum corner, so the bottom left, and the maximum corners, the top right. Does anyone, I'm hoping that you guys kind of know what to do next. Does anyone want to throw their suggestions out into the lesson room channel? If we want to find the minimum and the maximum. I'm sure you guys know it. Don't be afraid. Just
Even if
throw
it's
those
wrong,
ideas
we're
out.
not gonna get mad.
If it's wrong, I'm just gonna pretend I do not see.
Okay, don't worry.
I see someone typing. Oh, they're not typing anymore.
No, scare
Okay.
them off. Okay, let's just tell them. I'm pretty sure they know. They're just too afraid to speak, which is fine.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure in previous lessons we found minimum and maxes before. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use loops and if statements. Woohoo! Okay, so we have 4 values that are relevant to us, right? We have min.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
We have min x equals. We can just set them to none for now. Min y.
None is basically just like a blank space. It's like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's just like void, basically. Correct? Yeah. Okay, so these are basically just our placeholders. Can you see like when I highlight things? Michelle?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Okay, so these nuns are just basically placeholders. We don't really know our maximum and minimum y values yet. We just need to create the variables so we can use them. Where should we name this?
Just say x. Just say x.
I like using x in my for loops, which is a
Alright.
person preference for chord.
Then value them. Okay.
Record in, and your thing is called x values.
There. There's x values and y values.
And x values. We're just gonna say we're trying to find the min x and the max x in this for loop. So for chord, it's just the looping. It's called a looping variable, right?
Yeah.
Just,
So it would just go from
technically-wise.
0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to the number of values in this array.
Oh, since x values is an array, right? It's just chord is just gonna cycle through each value in the x value array. It's a little different from range, but
Yeah,
I
this
think
is what I did earlier, but I messed up.
it's a little different from in range, but I think we talked about this during our
No,
array
yeah.
lesson. It might have been a while ago though. So in this case, this looping variable is just going through each value in the x value array instead of like for I in range 5, where it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, right? So if min x is less than chord. Min x is less than chord.
You know, you would have to do x values square bracket chord. Because chord is just a value, right?
Your chord is just value, right? And oh my god. Min x is less than x value. I literally can't type today. Chord. That's right, right?
I think you have to do if x value is smaller than min x, because then you would replace it. Because if min x is smaller, then you don't do anything.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Min
it.
x is.
Yeah, so here I'm
My
just
brain
gonna
is so fried right now. I'm so
I
sorry.
got you. So if you're cycling through the x value. So if you look at the right side, we're cycling through.
Oh,
this.
right. Yeah.
Let's start at 44.
Min x is just our placeholder.
And min x is a placeholder, but it's going to be replaced with these values as we go. But we want to make sure, like, if this value, like, say we're on the third iteration, if 24 is smaller than the previous minimum value, then we want to replace it. So let's say if this is 24, if it's smaller than the min x we have at that moment in time, we're going to want to replace it. So the min x will be replaced by the x values.
There we go.
And then otherwise you don't
Same
do
thing with
anything,
max.
so we can just skip that.
So we don't have like if we don't have elif or anything, just because we don't need to do anything if it's elif or else. If x values, and then same thing with max. Is greater than max x at the moment, and max x just turns into. Pretty sure, like, you can probably know how to do this.
Yeah, look, here, just run it through really quickly. So, like, in the first iteration, these will all be smaller because this is just none. It's nothing. So
this has no value.
Yeah, so it will be replaced. So right now, the xi, the max, both the max and the min would just be 44. And then we'll move on to the second iteration. And second iteration, 34 is smaller than our previous min x, which is 44. So that means that the new minimum x value would be 34. And this isn't true because 34 is smaller than 44. So the maximum x value would still be 44. And then you would go through that 5 times, and then you would have the min and the max value. And you do the same thing for the x values, just like literally the exact same.
I could just copy and paste this.
Yeah, just copy and paste it.
And then
just replace all the y's.
That's okay. The indenting is fine. Let's go. Y values. Min y. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's just. Are we gonna test this out at all? Or do you just want to continue?
Yeah, let's just continue actually.
Okay, we can test that then.
That's wrong. So after right now we have a min x, max x, min y, and a max y value. But what we want is 2 coordinates. And one coordinate is the minimum x value, and then the minimum y value. And the second output we want is the maximum x value, comma, maximum y value.
Okay, so
wait, why did you do this?
Oh, I was gonna ask them to finish the line.
How would you finish it?
So remember how we were talking about, the bottom left corner and the top right corner have to include the dots?
Right.
What do I have to do? What do I have to do to min x right now? What do I have to type here?
Right now, it's just the smallest value, but you want it to be smaller than the smaller value in order for it to be.
Type it in the lesson room channel.
Please, it has to be at least
What do I
one
need to
pixel, preferably exactly one. Yeah, thank you, Annika.
Okay.
Awesome.
They're integers right now, right?
Yeah, they're integers. I did it
Okay.
over here.
And then we can
And
just
then
do
for the maximum values, you would plus 1 instead.
Oh, max x. Probably use an increment thing, but I don't. You know what? It's fine. This one's it's more intuitive, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. X1 plus 1. And then remember, if you guys still remember the original question, what it asks for is the coordinates. So this is the easiest part, at least in my opinion.
Right corner. The bottom left corner.
Easiest part, what should I type in here?
Which one? Bottom left is the minimum of all the coordinates, so what would you type if we have the minimum x and the minimum y values, and we need to print it out?
Someone want to put it in the lesson channel?
So we're trying to print the minimum x value followed by the minimum y value. I wonder how. Okay, you know what? It's okay.
It's okay.
If you guys don't want to type, that's fine. Cool.
I think that's good.
And that's the output. So if we print it, that should be the output that we need.
And remember to only put your only print statements. Like you can test using print statements while you're still writing the code, but the only print statements that you can actually have are your outputs.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try that again. So we have 5.
You want to just input the sample input there?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, sorry for my brain farts. I've been on that bio grind. If anyone's taking grade 12, well, not grade 12, but like if anyone's gonna consider taking grade 12 bio,
it's broken.
Out of range.
Hold on. Just index out of range. If xi is chord, that's the one that's out of range. Let's see. This one's out of range. Chord would go from the chord in x values.
Do I want to do for I in range? Doesn't make much of a difference, but
you can honestly just say replace this with for I in range n. Num drops for I in range 0 to. Or yeah, sure, that works too. Or I could just say num drops because they give us the number for a reason. You just do the same thing because we want to go through everything 5 times anyway.
Okay, well, I guess there's multiple ways to do it. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like okay, range and arrays is a tricky thing because like there's the indexing thing and there's also the thing that it stops right before it hits the value if you do the range thing, and how it starts counting at 1, counting at 0, sorry, stuff like that. But it's fine.
I'm gonna do one way and then another just to illustrate.
Also, SE doesn't need bio. SE needs chemistry and physics.
SE doesn't need bio. You know that
that's why I didn't take it.
Literally, the only university that requires bio is McMaster.
Yeah. I did not take bio a single time because I hate bio. Oh, are we trying a different way this way?
Yeah, it should work with both ways anyway.
Okay, let me copy this, see if I can just paste it because it's a pain. Yeah, there you go. No, not supported between what? Oh, you can't do none.
Oh my god. Okay, 0.
Yeah, we're just gonna replace it with 0 because we know that the coordinates have to be.
We should do 100.
Oh right,
because nothing's gonna be less than 0.
The maximums would be 0. All right, cool. Let's try that again. Oh, wait. 5, 8, 9, 6, 5. Oh wait, one thing we forgot to ask the Oh man, there's okay. What? Fine. We have to add the comma because that's what the sample output.
Oh yeah, right. They asked for the commas.
Yeah, that's a pain. So you're gonna have to do like plus this. And you can't use the comma to separate these either because then it would add a space. But you don't want a space, so you have to use plus signs this time.
How annoying.
And then, since you can't add an integer and a string, you would have to make these a string. So it's like, it's just small things, you know?
Oh my god.
23,
Okay.
9, 65, 79. And that is the sample output. That should work. So now, let's try going into the CCC online grader. Let me just open it. And I'll go onto that screen and show you guys.
Yeah, bio was literally killing me. Grade 11 bio was honestly okay. Grade 12 bio was worse. Oh yeah, we'll share. Oh, I think the link is already in pinned. If not, we'll share it after.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm just gonna share my whole screen. Oh, could you share the link to the article? Yeah, it is pinned. Change windows. Your entire screen. Share. Alright, I'll quickly switch. Alright, anyway, here is what it looks like, and we were on, this was CCC 2020, this one, right? Was it this one? Late window for other regions. I don't think it matters. Wait, why is it live? Oh wait, no, I'm on the teacher screen. Oh my gosh, hang on. Okay, I accidentally CCC online grader portal. Give me a second. Online grader. Okay, there we go. Now let me share my screen. So, can you guys see it? Not too bad, because this is what I'm gonna do. Alright, so I'm gonna enter 2020 contest.
Yep, we can see it.
And okay,
Alright.
what am I doing? So let's go into text editor, and I'm gonna copy this piece of code into text edit, paste it, file, save it as, I don't know, it was called art, right? .py. Remember it's .py because it's a Python. Save it in desktop. Now go back to submissions, art. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's down here, by the way. I'll just say
Python 3.
it doesn't matter if we're doing like it's basically basic coding. Oh man, what was it called? Here it is.
To your messy desktop.
Oh man, by the way, do you guys want to see what my desktop looks like?
Can you not? But do not.
Here, have fun with
Oh,
that. Anyway.
worse.
Okay. Submit. And submitting code. Remember, you just keep on pressing refresh. So you have 1, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. You can honestly wait like 5 seconds and it would go faster, but I'm impatient, so I just spam it. 10, please give us 15. Please. Yay!
Oh,
Okay,
I heard some people were having troubles with like the grader being super slow yesterday.
Oh, well, that's probably because a lot of people are practicing. I don't know.
Maybe. Hopefully we don't run into any issues.
Yeah, okay,
that
here's a
coding.
tip. If it's super slow, you can honestly just, while you wait for it to grade, just work on the other project and just keep on and just press refresh once in a while. You don't have to wait here the whole time, you know. Anyway.
Alright.
Anyway,
Yeah.
if you go back to contest, you can see that we have 15 out of 15. Yay, that was J3.
Woohoo! Yeah, so I guess the big takeaway from that lesson was just taking the inputs and maybe just visualizing things. You know, like have a piece of paper beside you during the CCC just in case you need to draw anything out for yourself.
Yeah,